The largest and greenest of all of the Ionian islands is Cephalonia, and I'm making one of its most famous dishes today, a 3-meat phyllo pie. Warm up the olive oil so that I can brown this beautiful meat here. And I've got beef. This is a bit of chuck. You don't want pieces that are too fatty, but you do want cuts that are tender. Next in goes the pork, one of the most important meats in all of the Mediterranean. And the third of our 3 meats is a little bit of this chopped lamb. I'm doing this over fairly high heat to get a little bit of color. Just want to season it with a little bit of salt and a little pepper. Cephalonia is really famous for its savory pies, and this is the signature dish on the island. The next thing I'm getting into the pot are 2 finely chopped red onions. The onion just needs to be softened a little bit. Garlic goes in next. The aroma has already changed. Just a little bit of garlic goes a long way. And the next ingredient to go in here is something that defines most of the savory pies on the island of Cephalonia, and that's rice. And that's something that sets it apart from other places in Greece. Just want to coat the rice in the olive oil and in all these beautiful pan juices. The tomatoes go in next. And I'm just using good quality chopped canned tomatoes with all their juices. Greeks' favorite spice in tomato sauces, and that is cinnamon and allspice. I'm going to add a little bit of water to this so that the rice cooks partially before this goes into the filling. I want the rice to absorb all the liquid in here. The filling is nice and cooled down, and I'm going to just finish it off with an egg, which will bind this all together. Get that mixed in. It smells really yummy. A little bit of parsley, grated Cephalonia cheese. This is a sharp yellow sheep's milk cheese. It goes really nicely with the meat, and it'll give the final texture of the pie once it's baked, that beautiful gooey cheese, melted cheese texture. And the next thing I'm going to do is prepare the phyllo. The first thing I want to do is oil my pan. We do that so that the phyllo doesn't stick to the bottom. I'm using commercial phyllo for this recipe. I'm just going to roll it out very carefully. If you buy this frozen, you always want to make sure that it's defrosted overnight and at room temperature when you work with it. Brush it very generously with olive oil. You basically need to layer enough phyllo to hold up to a substantial filling like that. So 6 layers on the bottom for this are just about the minimum. Don't worry if it tears. Okay, and I'm just laying this in here like that. Getting onto my next sheet. You have to be a little bit fast when you work with phyllo. The reason we keep it covered is to keep it from drying out. You want to make sure you get the edges, that's the most important thing. And this, I'm laying down in a different direction because I want there to be even overhang on all sides of the circle. Okay. And all of this excess will get turned into a really nice rim. This is the last one. Just gonna get the filling in here next. I'm just gonna spread this evenly around the pan. This is going over the top. Pat that down. This is going over horizontally. You want the overhang just to be as evenly dispersed as possible. Okay, now this, I'm gonna do a little bit differently. Put it on the inside of the rim as much as possible. Wrinkle it up a little bit. And when this bakes, it's gonna be really pretty. I'll get my last sheet here. Try to keep the pleats sort of even. So I'm gonna trim it just a little bit as I roll it inwards. If it's too thick, it might be a little bit raw in the center, and we want to avoid that. This is really moist with all the olive oil. I'm basically turning in the top and the bottom sheets. Continuing to do that all around. This is ready to go into the oven. I'm just going to brush the rim a little bit with a bit more olive oil because the bottom side, which I turned in, was not oiled. I'm going to bake it at 350 for about 50 minutes. My Cephalonian meat pie is ready. Look at that. It just has to sit for about 20 minutes to a half hour before I can cut into it. I love pita. That's phyllo pastry, phyllo pies. We all have probably tasted a spinach pie, spanakopita, at some time or another, but that isn't even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the variety of these beautiful flaky pies that exist all over Greece. Look at that. It smells amazing. It's a Sunday family meal. That is the first thing that comes to mind with that very first bite. All those different meats play beautifully against each other. The rice kind of brings everything together and adds a little extra comfort level. But the crunch of the phyllo is what really brings this all together and makes it not only comfort food, but exciting comfort food. I have a wine that I think will pair really nicely with this. It's produced in Florina, and it's made with 3 grape varietals, Syrah, Xinomavro, and Merlot. The hints of cherry and plum work beautifully with the sharpness of the cheese and the richness of this multi-layered meat filling. Isi Gian, enjoy Greek food.